Buenas noches a todos. Welcome back to Tom Plays EUIV Universalis 4 for absolute beginners. We're back with Castile. We currently have some spies working in Tlemcen and Morocco. Just had a slightly more successful campaign than I was expecting, thanks to Aragon being allies. And we're also about to get a Habsburg on the throne, which is very unusual. So, not quite playing like a normal game. So yeah, the thing I would say is that assuming you don't end up with great allies, all these holdings in North Africa probably aren't really necessary. It's quite important to finish this part of the Reconquista and take over Granada, but from that point on, I'm usually just focusing on colonialism. Okay, Torquemada. Not very happy about this, but if we go along with him, I believe we will instantly fulfill a mission. Which could save us quite a bit of money. So I'm going to go with it. Convert Iberia. So it gives us, actually it automatically gives us a Castile on Morocco, so that's also very useful. So we've got these three provinces, so our spy may become less necessary now. So that's because, yeah, they want us to continue the Reconquista. Not sure it's so much as a Reconquista if we're attacking North Africa there. And there's also an option for naval dominance where we want galleys, apparently. Need more galleys than the Ottomans. I wouldn't really consider galleys that useful to Castile. But there you go. Okay, now this is a new alert. Actually, there's a couple of new alerts because I haven't really gone into this one. This is provincial unrest, which we're mostly getting because we've conquered some countries. And this one is, when it gets worse, it warns us that there's about to be a rebel uprising. So they're nearly there. As soon as this hits 100, and it jumps by 10% each time, we're going to get only 8,000 people this time, and they're going to rise in Tangier. Interesting. So actually we're probably fine because we have an army there anyway. So hopefully, problem is we really need the army to rebuild itself to more than 8,000 people. Now what we can do as this gets close to happening is we can unmothball the fort, which will give this army an advantage in fighting them off. But yeah, in theory we should be fine. Just going to quietly speed this up a little. Unfortunately, it looks like this army's healing first. So normally that would be 16,000 people. We've still got 0 manpower, but every month we should be getting a few more. So while I'm thinking about this, let's just check the estate screen. Okay, we have 50% loyalty again. So we should be able to ask for a contribution from the burghers. It's worth just checking when we'll next be doing Free Monarch Point Day, 1464, so it's a long way into the future. So we can safely ask for this contribution. Takes them down to 40%, which is fine, you don't want to go any lower. We get some free money, and that will recover by itself over time. So, should be fine. Should be absolutely fine. I'm just going to check the papacy again. Right, so we've still got our 5% in there, but where we did have a 100% chance of becoming the Curia controller, we've now only got 25% chance. I'm not going to worry too much about that. It's not essential, it'd be nice to have it, but at the same time the other benefits we can get, the papal favours, are also very worthwhile for us. Okay, we finished improving relations with Portugal. This is this new nation that we created. We could actually ally with them, in theory. Can't vassalize them though. And I'm not sure there's a huge amount of point because they are much smaller than Tunis. I mean, really, I just sort of got them to release it as a kind of, I don't know, really, just because we could. A war on Britain. Yeah, probably not going to happen. Let's just improve relations with Aragon because they are our ally. Let's check our diplomacy screen again. Let me turn the speed up a little. So we've still got room for one more diplomatic relation. Let's see. It's possibly just worth checking the screen. Scotland, Bavaria, Serbia, Ansbach and Wallachia. Not sure any of them really appeal that much. Probably more interesting in countries that are on the coast. Whoops. Okay. That's not good. Can I unmothball this fort? I can. So that will at least help. I'm not sure it's going to help enough. Oh, actually. Could it? Perhaps I might as well wait. Actually thinking about it, we should retrieve our navy, which has been merrily sat all the way over there for ages. Families left behind. Well, I would rather than lose money, let's be more lenient in drafting manpower. Because I'm hoping we won't need too much. Now we're actually doing surprisingly well here, but we may end up failing quickly because of the loss of people. In fact, I think we are going to. So, yeah. So they've completely destroyed the army. We could do with asking Portugal for military access. So we need a diplomat. So we're going to put our king in charge of the army again, in the vain hope that he will get himself killed. Sorry. That is a little harsh, but he's a terrible ruler. And while the heir isn't exactly good either, we haven't been very lucky in monarchs, really. It'd still be an improvement. Never mind, let's just waltz across here. Put down these separatists. Head back to Malaga because I suspect we're going to have some Granadan separatists next. Where are they going to appear? Anywhere. They could appear absolutely anywhere, so they're least likely to appear wherever the army is. So we'll put the army where the fort is for now. Because it is going to be a while. Okay, fabricate a claim. So this is the same thing we did before. So they're also allied with Tunis. That's interesting. Portugal will not accept because they're in debt. Aragon isn't willing to join another war, that's understandable. Austria considers this a distant war. So we could be forced to fight Tunis on our own this time. I still think we could pull that off. However, I think we need to rebuild the army first. Because at the moment, we basically lost an entire army. So that's about half of our military forces. So you can see the morale bars here. Their morale bars going down faster. They're also replicated over here, which has more detail. This is a random die roll. It's technically the only bit that's random chance. So if they have an 8 and we have a 4, that's really bad. 5 and 5, that's in the middle. They have 5, we have 0, that's really bad. We have 4, they have 1, that's actually really good. They have 9, we have 1, that's disastrous. So, yeah. Okay. Still hoping we're going to win. And we did. But we're now even more damaged, so I don't think we'll be attacking Tlemcen anytime soon. We've finished coring a bunch of provinces. Just something we set out to do after we conquered them. And we also have a cardinal in Toledo, which is brilliant. So I think we now have 2 cardinals. So the more of them we can get, the better as Roman Catholics. Everyone else is at 25%. I'm actually tempted to put in another 10. Just this once. So that gives us 40 compared to everyone else's 20. We'll see how it goes. So we're down to 5 papal influence now, which isn't ideal. And now we've finished coring Granada now. So we've got this option here as new flag. Oh, hadn't mentioned this one. This basically says we have a claim. We've fabricated a claim, and we haven't done anything with the claim, we haven't declared war, and eventually it will expire. Finish coring Tangier. This option here, making states, when you have a province cored in a new region, you get the option to create a state based on that region. It tends to reduce corruption, so generally you should always do this. It does usually immediately get followed by them wanting you to make it a core sort of again, only as part of a state this time. But yeah, generally you always want to do that with any province you're going to keep. It will be slightly different when we start colonising. So yeah, makes it even more expensive. To make these states cores, but never mind. We've definitely got them now. And it should reduce our corruption a little, which will help. It should be costing us less. Also, our profits have gone up enormously because our army maintenance has gone down tremendously due to our army effectively being destroyed. There should be a stable government. Okay, so we have to lose 50 administrative power, we lose 10 prestige. Even though administrative power is very important, our prestige is very low. So I'm going to accept the demand. So I can't really afford to lose prestige right now, unfortunately. Okay, so in terms of the military, we now have room for 1 more ship in our fleet, and we probably have room for more troops. I think 2 more troops, but we can't even. We're still rebuilding the army we have, unfortunately, so I don't think we're in any position to do much with the army. Now we do have the option again of, actually we don't, because it's been too recently that we've raised additional levies. So that would have been an option. Would have sent the nobility disloyal, which would have slowed down manpower recovery, but it would have given us a boost towards getting this army functional again. As it is, I have a horrible feeling we're going to be more or less stuck here, not really able to do anything, because we're just waiting for our army to recover. At least we'll have more money as a result. Okay, more technology. This time we've gained a marketplace. So this is one of the new buildings. Let's have a look at the building menu. Got an alert here. You can also reach it through the production interface. It's basically part of a production interface, but you get the alert whenever you have enough money to build a building. I didn't see much point in building additional castles. They're useful in a sense, but they're often already in the places you need them. So I don't often build new ones. Their main advantage is they prevent other armies from being able to just go anywhere they like in your country. They kind of get in the way, and they also give you an advantage if you fight on a province that has one. So we've just got a new building marketplace. They are good for trade. They effectively, I'm going to have to go into this a little bit, but in general they're not as useful as some of the other buildings. It's definitely worth building one in Sevilla though. Generally the benefit you get from a building is measured in these green letters here. So plus 10.16 is considerably above the benefits you would get anywhere else. So I would argue it's worth putting them there. Okay, so the whole point of them is, if we go back to the trade map, which we looked at once before, let's look at the Sevilla trade node. Okay, there are two pie charts here. This one, looking at them in technically the wrong order, this basically shows who controls the trade node, who has the power. Now we have got, because of the provinces we own, we have got almost half of the overall trade power. Portugal has a chunk as well, about a quarter, and there are a bunch of other countries. The marketplace, which we've just set to be built in Sevilla, it basically, I believe, increases our proportion of trade power in the node a little. So that's basically what it does. It has no value if you already have all the trade power. So it's a little questionable, because we could gain the same value from just conquering everything. But we're less likely to do that than some nations would be. So the odd marketplace possibly isn't a bad thing, but they're still not as valuable as some other buildings, which we'll get fairly shortly, I hope. So this other pie chart, this is quite important. Part of the trade value of a node is retained in the node, in which case it tends to go in terms of money to the people with the power in the node. The remainder is pulled forward. This is usually done by merchants, and it's usually done by people who have power in the node but would much rather the trade went to the next node. In the case of Sevilla, the only node it can go to is Genoa, up here. But that means that Aragon, Genoa themselves, France, Provence, Savoy, the Papal State, I think, Naples, they all have an interest in moving the trade onto Genoa so that they can benefit from it. Whereas we in Portugal, and to some extent Morocco, have an interest in keeping it here, which is why the retained trade value is very similar to the combined strength of us and Portugal. So, as a general rule, if you have a merchant, if we just move along to look at Tunis, where we do, there are two things a merchant can be doing in a trade node. They can either collect directly, which it's suggested you should probably only do in your home trade node, which in our case is Sevilla. Or you can also ask them. Don't have the option there because our merchant's already doing that, but if we have a look at Alexandria, to transfer trade power. So this basically means that the merchant sits in the trade node and moves trade power as much as they can, based on the power we have, out of a trade node in whichever direction will benefit our country best. So in our case, our merchant, who we can see there, has a tick on this route and is trying to send as much trade power as possible forward to Sevilla. You see, doing a fairly good job. Most of the trade power is going to Sevilla. We and Portugal are both interested in getting it to Sevilla. Whereas I'd imagine Tunis would rather be collecting. So yeah, at the moment, at the start of the game, we have a merchant in Tunis who is forwarding things to Sevilla. And we also have a merchant in... Oh, we've become the papal controller. Excellent. Clemens VII. We've also got a merchant here in Safi, who's also moving trade to Sevilla. We don't currently have a merchant collecting from trade, which possibly we should, but I think these merchants are more valuable where they are, so we'll probably wait until we get another merchant before we start collecting. So one of the things we're going to do as Castile is we're going to take over trade nodes in all parts of the world as much as we can. We'll probably try to get the ports that are closest to the actual trade nodes, and we will set up a stream of merchants all channeling trade towards Sevilla, where we will collect it. Okay, so that's the objective. and that's the purpose of the marketplace. I think it's questionable whether it's worth building any others. I mean, Tangier, they reckon, is a good option, maybe. Toledo. So yeah, debatable. I just kind of wonder if we would make more money by waiting until we can make some temples, which we will get with the next administrative technology level. Unfortunately, we're quite behind in administrative technology because of all the land we've taken over. So we've had to make a number of cores, which costs us quite a bit of administrative power. Hopefully it will ultimately be worth it. Seeing as we went to all that trouble to get Tangier, let's put a marketplace there, and we'll put one in Toledo as well. But I think maybe we will leave it there for now, because I want to save some money for temples, and we're going to be making less and less money as the army recovers more and more. Okay, so we finally cored this province. I think we're going to be making another state. States are always a good thing, but you're limited to the number you can have based on your administrative technology. We're also now extremely likely to get an uprising in this province, so we really need to get our army over there to prepare for the uprising. Okay, we can't take the whole army. Now, this is a peculiarity. Even though our army is at around 10,000 and our navy can actually take 12,000 troops, it's treated as if it was... Okay, stop right there. That's no good. I'm going to need to move our ruler to here and send these across. The army's treated as if it was full strength. So this is actually treated as an army of 8,000 troops, as is this one. But because this one nearly is 8,000 troops, I'm going to send them over with a general instead of this one that's actually less than 3,000. Now, as soon as they're across, note that we're kind of using the ship as a stepping stone again. As soon as they're across, we can send more troops. Actually, we might be able to send more already. We can. But they're not much good. Let's send the 2.6. And then as soon as they're across, we'll have the remaining 0.4 take up a rear. Probably not going to need them, actually. Now it looks like we're doing okay. Okay, brilliant. In which case you can turn around and go back. I just really wish we had enough troops to launch an attack on these guys. Seems like such a good opportunity. Unfortunately, with Tunis coming in on their side. I knew Portugal's willing to join in now. Maybe it would even be worth it. Maybe it would. Maybe I should move the rest of my army across. We should just pull them all into one army and we should just try to take them. Obviously, I won't blame Portugal in the slightest if they elect to make a separate peace with Tunis. As we did with Morocco. I don't suppose we could fabricate claim on Tunis, could we? We might be able to. We might be able to. Maybe we could even take a bit of land from Tunis themselves, seeing as we keep fighting them. Probably Dara, if anywhere. Yeah, we do have quite a few different allies in Morocco. Don't really feel much like I'm in a position to take them on. To To be honest, I kind of feel like we should declare war simply because if we don't, Portugal will probably declare war on Morocco and drag us into it. So let's drag Portugal into a war instead. So them fight on our side for a change. I think we're going to catch them. The cross swords usually means you're going to catch them. I probably should have paused the game before declaring war, then we would have been more certain to catch them. Okay. Head up the Barbary coast a little. Start blockading Tunis. So, I've got a simple two-person war here, but Tlemcen is much less powerful than us. Portugal's less powerful, but it's probably more or less on a par with Tunis, I'm hoping. Assuming they actually do anything. If nothing else, the ships should be useful. Move my ships there. I've lost sight of theirs now. Oh no, they're there. Yeah, so they have galleys, we have heavy ships. I suppose it's a little debatable which is most powerful of the two navies, but I think we have the edge because we're using heavy ships. Just killing that little navy. Of course they do actually have an admiral, which will give them an advantage. We'll see. May not even come to that. It's only going to happen if we force their ships to set off. Okay, so I'm hoping things will be easy going enough that we can still be recovering manpower as we fight. But we'll see. It depends how keen Tunis are. I just realised I completely neglected to wait until I'd fabricated a claim on Tunis, so I won't be able to take this province. It was a bit silly of me, but never mind. Who knows, if we waited long enough to make the claim, Portugal might have started a war with Morocco and insisted we join in. Of course, they can probably still start a war with Morocco, unless we've got a truce, maybe? We do still have a truce with Morocco, actually. Just not for much longer. But I suppose they might still try and drag us into a war with them. But if they do, we have claims on some of Morocco's provinces, so we can just get those, I suppose. Right. So slow things down a little. Just want to make sure we can't actually... Oh, we can! But they won't accept it. Right, fair enough. So what we could do with is getting Tunis to pull out, but we need this war enthusiasm to go down to medium before that will happen. So taking this castle would be a great first step. I just worry that we're going to have an enormous army showing up. Oh, has our monarch died? Oh right, no, this is a glitch in the game. We did have a regency at one point and they're treating it as though it was an amazing king from the past. But yeah, sure, I'm happy to use it in our propaganda. I can certainly use the extra prestige. So we're making a little bit of money from blockading these guys. I don't want to move down here where we'd make much more money because this ship might take off and do some mischief. So it's more about keeping the Tunisian navy holed up, really, than it is about making money. So our army is gradually recovering, even though we're doing a siege. Truce with Morocco's finished. This is the point at which Portugal might decide to drag us into a war. So I'd like to think even Portugal will wait until this war was over. And we can always say no. Ooh, okay. Oh, this is interesting, the Burgundian Succession crisis. Duke of Burgundy's died. And it sounds like we are going to gain claims on them, but we will have to fight for them to get them. It's a little unfortunate. Okay, apparently we've fulfilled a quest, which is expand Castile. So now a new quest for conquer new states. Oh my goodness, no, we have actually been given some land. Right. Wonderful. So this can occasionally happen. The Duke of Burgundy is dying is a known event that sometimes happens, although you can't really rely on it. And in this case, it appears to have randomly given us a lot of land, even though we had no real relationship with Burgundy at all. Which is going to be interesting, because we may have to defend this land now. But we have certainly conquered new states. And hopefully it will mean a lot more money. Because we could do have an army up here now as well. A bit scattered, these Burgundian provinces. Almost makes me wonder if we should look into selling them. There is an option to actually sell provinces to anyone who feels that they own them. Okay, are we able... Oh, we are. We're able to fabricate a claim. So, I guess Garb, which is another one that Portugal will want. I might stop building the spy network there. So here's a potential problem. Still, might mean it's more worth looking for potential royal marriages as well. So this doesn't often happen either, especially when you're not even trying to make it happen. Well, I might start improving relations with Austria, because we do have an alliance with them. Nobles are being awkward again. Want us to lose tax income for 20 years. That is pretty terrible. And I suppose I can't even raise additional levies, can I? That's a bit annoying. Never mind, I didn't really want the stability hit because we're already behind on administrative tech. By quite a long way. Oh! We've won the siege. Okay, so that's something. Ah, I think I've been reminded of something that I have neglected to do here. Okay, so we have 3 rivals, or we did have 3 rivals. We appear to have lost one. We can't add one while at war. Whenever you have rivals, you should always raise a trade embargo against them. That's another option in diplomacy. Right click and issue embargo. Can we do Morocco as well? I don't think you can do it while you have a truce. So when we have a 3rd rival, we must remember to do that. It helps with power projection, which does give you some benefits, and it doesn't cost you anything. A trade embargo on someone who isn't your rival can be quite expensive, so we tend not to do that, but you should always have one on anyone who is your rival. Incidentally, I am really impressed with how helpful Portugal's being. I think even we were more helpful. They're just literally sitting there in their own country and doing literally nothing to help in this war. Well, there you go. Okay, so Tunis. Still not interested in any kind of peace, I don't think. Just going to keep taking Tunisian lands. Really hoping at some point they will be interested in making peace. Or these guys will be up for annexation. Clear offer, just annexation. No. No, I mean it's understandable. Tunisian noble rebels. Okay, that could put a spanner in the works, or it could potentially really help us. Ooh, it really helps us. So they will give us some money. Pull out of the war. That's what we want. So now we've suddenly got a 100% war score. Sue for peace, suggest demands. And yeah, that's probably it. So brilliant. That is absolutely what we wanted. Might do a spy network in Tunisia again when we get the chance. Oh, we again need to make a core. This is Iran, and apparently they want us to pick another rival. So, got a choice between Denmark, France and the Ottomans. Denmark looks the least scary to me. They have apparently rivaled us, so we're going to rival Denmark and issue an embargo against them. Going to mothball the forts. All of them. I'm honestly half inclined to get rid of the forts up here. I'm really not sure how I'm going to hold these lands. It's sort of kind of quite a way away. I'm very grateful to have been given them. I just feel a little like they're out on a limb somewhere, really. Maine is a junior partner of someone. Provence. Okay. So in theory we could have an alliance with Provence. That's Savoy. Savoy's rivals with Papal State, Milan and Genoa. Not keen to fight the Papal State, but at the same time Savoy is a decent size and might help us to hold on to these countries. So I might just offer them an alliance, we'll get a royal marriage. Maybe it will pay off at some point. Who knows? It's got Austria and Savoy as allies up there now. And would like to spy on Tunis. So I'm just thinking of spying on Tunis. Let's just have a claim maybe on these two pieces of land, just in case we end up at war with them again. We're more likely to end up at war in Morocco. We have a bunch of claims on them. But before we fight Morocco again, I would not mind rebuilding the army. As close to the force limit as we can get. Might start improving relations with the Papal State, which is always a good thing if you're a Roman Catholic. As soon as we've allied Savoy, I might do the same for them. Although we probably need to... We should probably ask for a royal marriage first. So yeah, not bad actually. We've been given a bunch of Burgundian lands for no good reason at all. I think we were probably just the least evil choice from their point of view, a lesser of several evils. I don't think Burgundy themselves are all that keen on us. But yeah, brilliant. We may end up with a revolution later, I think, when the Netherlands rise up. In fact, honestly, I might just get rid of these castles. I know it probably seems counterproductive, but I'm worried we won't be able to hold on to these lands. I'm worried that we're going to have uprisings. There's a good chance that the castles will fall and then we'll have a pain taking them back. There aren't really enough lands up here for us to worry too much about the army just being able to roam across them freely. And the castles are going to cost us a lot of money to maintain. So it just doesn't seem worth having them, really. So yeah, brilliant. That went better than expected. We got the one province we were actually mainly after in North Africa, just because it was held by a single province country, so they were fairly easy to pick on. It's mean, I know, but not half as mean as the colonialism. And we had a real stroke of luck up here. So yeah, it's brilliant. Could really do with getting rid of Enrique. He's still failed to die in battle so far, and we're very gradually rebuilding the army, but we're still on 0 manpower. So yeah, that's not bad as a day's work. So I think I'll stop it there, and I'll see you next time.